I love Snapdragons, and I'm going to show you how I get dozens of more blooms instead of just having one lanky bloom. This is my strategy. I've gotten more blooms out of my Snapdragons now than I ever have before, and this strategy works. I'm going to show you exactly what that is. There's a variety of Snapdragons in different colors, sizes. These ones in particular that I have are the tall ones. They can reach anywhere from 3 to 4 feet high. These ones are doing pretty well right now. They're almost at that 4-foot height. But if you come over here, I am producing more zinnias by doing this strategy versus just having one lanky one. And it's worked out perfect. This was an experiment and it worked. I'll come over here, I'll show you more. Here's another example. Now these kind of got entangled with some other of my flowers and my tomatoes here, which I love. But come over here, you can see I have one or I have dozens, and that strategy worked. Come over here, I have a few, I have one, but there's something in particular I want to show you about that one. That's another experiment I'm doing. And then come over here. This is just the rest of my garden. Oh, my one zinnia fell. I'll have to fix that. But come back over here. When you first plant your zinnias, make sure that they are well watered. This one in particular, or I should say all of them, I dug a hole that was about 2 to 3 times the size of their actual root ball that they were in their first container, and then I filled it with compost. The reason I did compost, for one, it has a lot of nutrition. 2, it holds the necessary moisture on those really hot days. In the very beginning of spring, I had a 90-degree day, and my plants would have been wilted and dried out, but because I did that compost, it saved me. Then the next thing I did, and this is in particular to watering your Snapdragon, is I only watered in the early morning and the late night. Only if they were showing that they were wilting on a really hot day would I come in and give them a third watering or a middle of the day watering. But if I did not see that, I only watered them in the very beginning of the morning and the very late in the day, almost like a kind of sundown. But I didn't spray the top of the plant or anything, just sprayed the base. That way they're not getting wet, or if there's a little chill in the air, they're not going into shock that way, especially a frost. Another question you may be asking, how much sun does my zinnia need? Is it a shade? Is it a partial sun? Is it a full sun? My zinnias in particular are in a full sun area, but you're looking at it now, you're like, there's no sun here. That's because of my pine trees. They got a lot bigger. But once the sun gets over those pine trees and more towards the middle of the summer, this is in 100% sun all the way till the sun gets over there. Well, once the trees get a little bigger, they'll be shading that little opening soon. I might have to do some tree trimming. But zinnias do best in full sun. In this little bit of partial shade, it's fine. It's kind of the only thing I have at the moment, unless I move all of my zinnias to the top of my hill. But you can see that, I am doing pretty well. If they were in full sun right now, they would probably be blooming all of them at the same time, kind of like this one, if not a little bit more. But that's fine. It helps to stagger my whole garden and send it into, I call it like blooming waves. That way everything is balanced and you don't just have a quick bloom and then all you have to do is deadhead and then your garden's done, essentially. You are probably wondering what else is in here. I keep a variety of annuals, perennials, and vegetables in my garden. My hydrangea, these are alyssums. Obviously, you always keep these when you have vegetables. You need your marigolds. Over here, this is my knockout rose. This has just been transplanted from last year, so it's looking a little lanky right now. Once all the blooms are done, I go into the fall Then I'm going to shape this whole thing and it'll look nice and more controlled, bushy shape. Obviously more tomatoes. The biggest thing with tomatoes for me is I actually prefer to do the cherry ones. You have less issues with the cherry tomatoes. You get a lot more of them, especially that little one in there. I see you. You get a lot more tomatoes. As you can see, I'm going to be eating a ton in the next day or so. I've been picking, you know, the few that are ripe right now. They will get a little bit of that sometimes when you get an overwatering, it like splits itself right here, but that's fine. You'll never taste that. You'll never feel it, the texture. The bigger tomatoes are so finicky. You can get tomato rot, you can get bloom rot. There's so many things. Oh, now my neighbor's starting up their lawnmower. But okay, you're asking, how did I get my zinnias? I'm sorry, not my zinnias, my snapdragons to bush out and start producing more blooms. This is how I get more blooms out of my snapdragons. I probably said zinnia at some point. It's not zinnia, it's snapdragon. I have zinnias here, which I love. Oh, you can see it blooming over here. Actually, let me just show you really quick. I'll show you my zinnias. So I have my white one blooming. Oh, hi, Mr. Daddy Longleg. Over here, I have a gold and a white one. This one is coming up soon. These are zinnias. I keep misspeaking between my two flowers, my pink, my gold. And this is my favorite. Look at this one. It is a beautiful, like, red orange one with the yellow or orangey petals in the middle. This one is my absolute favorite. It's so pretty. And of course it's getting a little top heavy, but I'm gonna snip this one and I'm bringing it inside because I don't want to share it outside. I want it inside so I can look at it more while I'm enjoying lunch and dinner. But let me go back to the snapdragons. All right, back to the snapdragons. And that right there is a calamintha, if you didn't know what that was. That's actually for herbal. I can talk about that more in another video. But over here, did I call it snapdragon again? Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. This is a snapdragon. I was talking about the zinnias. My goodness, I'm gonna get that mixed up. Anyways, so come in here, and the reason I have all these blooms is because look inside. The first thing I did, see that cut right there? I came in, and once this was about, you can see the height of these, once it was about this height, give or take, when I saw my first head of snapdragons starting to develop, I came in and I cut it down about a quarter to half of the way. I made sure there's plenty of support underneath. You can see all of these leafy areas. Those are all going to be shooting out from the side and then shooting up and then blooming, just like these did. So you can see all the way down what I left right underneath. See how they're starting to come up, and producing more blooms. Let me show you another spot. These ones I did not. I did this on purpose to show you cutting one versus not cutting one. The catch is you get a shorter plant and not as tall, but you start to develop one, or you just start to develop dozens. Let me come over here. Here's another one I did. Oh, and I can also talk about why that one is more darker and lighter. But here's another one. Look inside here. See where I cut that? That little snip right there? Right where my finger is? That's another one, and you can see all of these blooms are just gonna shoot out at once. Over here. Now here's one I did it to as well. It's a little bit more shaded, that's why it's a little bit smaller. But here's one I did not do it to, but look at this. So this one is laying on its side. It got a little heavy. If I did this right away, I would have had more blooms. If I would have cut it right here, all of these would have shot up and they all would have had an equal amount of sun. The ones that are on the bottom have to work harder. They have to shoot out from the outside of the plant, from the outside, and then reach the sun. Versus these would all have sun. They would all shoot up at the same time and all bloom at the same time. But I missed that opportunity when this was laying down, and I could still enjoy it now. Snip it here, let these bloom in a vase. Oh my gosh. So I apologize for that little dramatic moment. You gotta love when the hubby comes out and scares you while you're talking about your garden. So that's why I let out that little like burst or scream, because he came up behind me, scared the bejeebers out of me. But I kind of lost my train of thought. I think I was over here talking about this one. I think we finished up this. I talked about how you can get more blooms out of that. So let's see. I think that was, oh, so you're wondering if you ever get, okay, so Snapdragons, you have the option of this dark, see the stem of it? It's really, really dark versus the light one. Let me go to one that's, they're next to each other so it's easier. Here we go. So this stem, and you can even see how they're developing their flowers. It's really dark right here, dark stem, light stem. This will give you an idea of what color Snapdragons you will end up with. If it's dark, your flowers will be dark. They'll end up more of the maroonish or the dark purples. If they are light, you'll end up with the yellows, the pinks, some other of the, you know, lighter colors. I'm just listing off a few, but that's the other catch is when I shop for these at greenhouses, I make sure to get the variety of the darks and the lights, and it's harder to find. These are the harder ones to find, but you can find them. You have to be very, very particular about it. But thank you so much for watching, following. I really love talking about garden, plants, everything. Please subscribe. You know, it always helps, and this is what I really enjoy doing, and I hope you enjoy the video too. Leave a comment. Have a great day.